I know you know that one. know that one. And then Naira Marley was the guest, the star guest.
Okay.
He flew into Abuja, a commercial private jet, a private jet company from Lagos.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be a drive-in concert, which now became the normal concert. Like you would say, you can't attend a Naira Marley event and remain in the car. I don't know. But they forgot that there was COVID-19. So everybody thought it was the normal stuff, and then people went out. So now my question is, subsequently, way forward, we're supposed to start finding a way to live with COVID-19. We're not saying that the federal government has totally lifted all the lockdown, like interstate ban is still in place, although 21st domestic flights will start moving about.
Yeah, true.
So now the question is this, subsequently, how does the showbiz industry begin to live with COVID-19 and try to see a way forward in their business, even despite COVID-19? Talking about the guidelines, the measures and all, how can they still move from one place to another?
This is a very interesting question, but first I want to smile.
Yes, how do you even need to smile?
Someone said your body, the endorphin, does not really know the difference between a fake smile or a real smile, so just smile anyway. Your body will respond to it. All right, back to the question, beautiful question. The truth is COVID-19 impact is not going to disappear immediately. We're going to live with it for quite a long time to come. There are a lot of predictions. Some say 2 years, some say 10 years, some say it might be the next 99 years. But it does not matter whatever happens. One thing that is constant is that as human we adapt. We change, we adapt to changes. It can be painful at the beginning, it can be difficult at the beginning, but eventually we all get used to it. And like I always teach that every time there's a major event on the earth, like a pandemic, it brings about a permanent change. And people need to foresee these changes and adjust both their businesses and everything that they're trying to do to that particular thing. There's a comedian that did something mind-blowing. He was supposed to have a show on Easter Sunday. You know what I'm talking about. So, but somehow, because of the COVID lockdown, the show could not hold. They have spent money, they have done virtually everything that needed to be done. People have bought tickets. But somehow he found a way to use the power of the internet to still hold the show. It was amazing. I stayed glued to that show for close to 9 hours on Instagram. Yeah, I think I have unlimited internet. So somehow he found a way to still reach much more people. I mean, they had close to over 100,000 people watch the show versus the only 5,000 that would have been at a hotel if it was live. So people need to start to understand that some of the things we are used to going to physically or experiencing physically, we have to find a way to connect virtually because it's going to be here. There's no running away to it. So the show business need to find a way to use internet tools that give people the kind of feeling they would have if they were physically at an event. And once that can be done, eventually people will adjust to it, because their fear is how many people wants to pay for something online. As a matter of fact, look at the comedy show I just mentioned. They were able to reach over 100,000 people if only they had charged half the amount they charge, minus the table fee and all of that. That's at least about 20 to 50 times of the number they usually would do. And that's more revenue for them. This time around, they're not paying for all, most likely. They're not paying for a lot of logistics. All of those things, they don't need to pay for them anymore, although that's bad business. So the people who are into that, they have to find a way to also innovate, which we're also getting into. So what I feel that showbiz could do is to find a way to use the tools of the internet, cyber to their advantage. People will adjust eventually.
All right. In as much as I picked so many things from the very encompassing and comprehensive answer you just supplied. You know, the way fans, if you truly love showbiz or entertainment, there's this feeling you have when you are witnessing it live. But like you really pointed out, we need to learn how to just find a way of living with the deadly pandemic and all. And then like, when you said there are actually predictions or projections that we're going to live with this for a long while, I think I cannot agree with you more than that, because we just read a headline where the federal government has already rolled out a 3-year plan for COVID-19.
Yes, for COVID-19.
Yeah, response plan.
Actually,
It's crazy.
But the fact is that, like you were talking about, some other people that are involved are actually cashing on the logistics and all of that, which you say they need to find a way around it. You know, when I saw the flyer or the poster for the Naira Marley's concert, there were actually some level of modalities I saw it in place. Maybe I wouldn't know if that was intentional, but in my own way of calculation, that would have been able to curtail some of those guidelines he violated. Like, it was the cheapest ticket was supposed to go for 20,000 naira, and then they were supposed to be sitting arrangement of table for 4. But I don't know what happened, and all of that was violated.
It's a concert.
What do you
But you know what?
If you look at the,
Interestingly-
I'm coming. If you look at the economic implications, they are now putting the officers, the aviation officers that were on ground, because the flight was booked to convey a judge who was supposed to be on essential duty all the way from Lagos for Sunday or Monday, but unfortunately the flight took off on Sunday. So it's already putting the job of everybody involved at risk, and that's another economic implication to it.
So the impacts are limitless, actually. But I wanted to pay attention to something. That there's this show that I'm sure is one of the most traction-driven or attracting show in Nigeria. I'm talking about BB Naija.
Yes.
Now, we all watch it back of our TV, we all watch it online, and we enjoy this so much that we vote with our money.
Yes.
So how come a show like that is virtual is able to get so much attention and so much support and build such a very huge fan base? It's because they were able to control the essence of the show. So there are ways that other shows can also...
We need to find a way of living with the virus, because from projection, and we've not seen the virus living anytime soon. So you were trying to drive home a point concerning how shows which have been held virtually have been gaining much prominence,
Yes.
and then people looking into doing that subsequently.
Yes. So what I feel most people in show business or entertainment, generally events, needs to try and do is to look for innovative ways that can get people engaged really with the kind of things that they are trying to put out. Because the truth is, for example, look at worship centers like church, for example. Some of them do not like the online streaming thing because they think their members' attention will be divided. So someone is watching TV now and they remember he's cooking rice, you have to leave and go and all of that. But if they find a way to make it interactive somehow, and that's one of the better benefits of virtual events. You can actually send messaging, do interaction, which you necessarily can't do if you were there physically. You just obey whatever they tell you. If you're on a platform on the internet, you can actually send something in and they can respond to you easily. There's this church camp that we used to go to. When there's no sound, people start clapping. So when they notice there's a clap coming from a particular angle, they adjust the sound at that angle. But if it was online, it's easy. Just say bad sound, bad sound, bad sound, and then they can adjust that. So somehow it has its own benefit if they can find innovative way to make this happen. I love what the comedian I talked about did, which is already building a lot of other shows that come out of it that they are currently going through. Almost every celebrity I know now does Instagram Live, and they host each other. They host people from different places. The people whose itinerary are booked for 2 years ahead, but because of COVID-19, they can't fulfill any of those plans. So they have to be staying at home. So it becomes easier to even get them to come online and then share something with people, either sing or speak or whatever it is that they do. So these things come with its own benefits. As much as there's going to be a slowdown in profits, there's going to be a slowdown because we have to adjust to it, which takes time. But the truth is, every human being adjusts. So we adjust to change. It's only a matter of time, but we are going to become what we're supposed to be. It wasn't like that before, but right now this is what we are facing, and this is what has to happen, and it's changing. So for someone like me that likes to be indoor always, it's even easier. I mean, I could attend your wedding online. I could attend a concert online. Naturally, I do church online. Almost every other thing online. We're also online right now. So imagine if TV can be online. it was never thought it was going to be possible, but right now it is possible. We've all adjusted to it. Our phone 10, 15 years ago only could send text or make calls. Today, you're watching me on your phone. I mean, that's amazing. So that's what's going to happen also in 2 years from now. You're going to see a lot of things happening online. And the good thing about online is if you host an event in Lagos, for example, you can have people attend from over 140, 190 countries, paying, connecting in real time. And they can watch the replay of the show. All things can happen. So it is amazing stuff. So we need to find a way to innovate, create ideas that engages people. At least let them get the same value or even more value than they would have gotten if they had to attend the event physically. So things like that is what they can actually make happen.
I thought they really picked a lot. It seems like technology is really doing a lot for us. I think people that didn't get their hands into technology earlier on, they are actually embracing it right now.
You know, God is so faithful. If I have to bring that in to the extent that I think we had some of those things in place before COVID-19 came around.
But how were people
just imagine we have COVID-19 when there were no smartphones and all. What other method would we have?
So I think I agree with you when you say God is amazing.
Yes, truly. Okay, before we let you go, we need to look at some of the challenges we may encounter if we really want to maybe shift our attention to having online shows and all. The issue of service providers and then possibly the power. How do we handle all of those things?
Very important. That's very, very important. I think that's one of the major issues with it's a territorial issue, geographical issue that we're facing, especially in this part of the world. Now, there was something I was telling Message Joe, I think it was yesterday we were talking, and then I said that there has been 3 pandemic so far in the last 100 years. But a lot of people don't know. They think this is just the second one. The first one happened at the same time with First World War in 1914. Pandemic was 1917, and then the World War ended 1918, and it changed the world completely. So everybody had to adjust to the new capitalism world that made it possible for a common man to grow and become a noble man. Before the world was divided in 2. You're either a noble blood or you're a common man. There's no crossing. But after the First World War, it became easy for people to actually build businesses and then grow, you know, into becoming something with their life. And in 1939, another one happened with Germany in the Second World War, and that shifted the political power away from monarchy to the hands of political office holders. And that's why, for the first time, it was possible for an elected governor to dethrone a monarch. It was never possible. It was the monarch that ran the town, that ran the show. But that's changed the world completely due to political power. So politics now rule the world. And this is the third one. It's actually the Third World War happening right now, which is a trade and virtual war between America and China. The 5G, all of this. All of these occurrences are a proof that we are in the midst of the Third World War. And then to buttress it, a new pandemic. So this pandemic is bringing a permanent change on the earth as well. And what is the change we are seeing right now? Everything is going online. I usually tell people, whatever you do right now, if you've not found a way to do an online version of it, it will not last. It will not last. So whatever it is you're trying to do, it has to shift. So which means the service provider needs to find a way to dominate places. I mean, the service, we have about 4 or so of them in Nigeria. It has to be a race. Is it MTN that wants to cover first, or is it Glo, or which of them wants to cover first? Because truly that's the way people will communicate, that's the way people will relate from now henceforth. So there is a need for, we need 5G, 6G, 7G everywhere in my village. We need to be able to connect. It's a very serious matter. And then of course power. Because once all of these things are available, it becomes easier. An American finds it easy to do things online than a Nigerian. I do a lot of businesses online, webinars, shows, all kinds. I find it easy for people who are outside of Nigeria to connect than Nigerian. A normal Nigeria will tell you my data, my MB. So all of these things needs to be looked into because it's a futuristic plan. It will happen. There's nothing that's going to stop it. So they have to work around it and make sure that they catch him first.
Okay, wow. all-time encounter?
I'm telling you, really, I'm sure everyone has picked one or two from what Sam Harvard had to tell us. Thank you very much, Sam Harvard,
Thank you so much.
being our guest this morning on Daybreak Africa here on
Pleasure.
Television Nigeria.
Thank you.
We at Television Nigeria, we thank you very much.
And we hope to see you again.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's been Daybreak Africa, and that's how much we can take today on the program. My name is Messi Joe.
And my name is Elvis Oga. Meanwhile, we'll leave you with a vox pop on should Indian hemp be legalized in Nigeria?